meets mind, we ponder, we dream.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the future.
Pixels
My name is Chris Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking technology, philosophy, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. Now, if you've been using generative AI for a while, you've probably thought to yourself, wow, this is great. This is really great. I've been able to do so many things with it. I can have it do all sorts of work for me. I can have it create images. I can do some amazing stuff with it. It's just incredible. And one of the things I think is really, really incredible about ChatGPT and all these chatbots that have been created is that they developed it using the exact right kind of interface. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what do you mean interface? What kind of interface? It's chat. And one of the things about chat, and what you probably think to yourself, okay, well, chat, everyone knows what chatbots are. Everyone knows what chat is. People send text messages to each other. People send instant messages to each other. But if you can believe it, instant messaging has not been around for that long. I mean, depending on how old you are, it's been around for your entire life, but instant messaging has not been around for that long. But one of the beauties of instant messaging and why instant messaging is something that people just really picked up on and embraced. Because if you think about it, imagine the days prior to instant messaging. Imagine the days prior to text. If you wanted to get a hold of somebody, you had to pick up the phone and call them. You had to have a synchronous conversation with them. And now you can have asynchronous conversations with anybody. Now there's a clue there to what I just said. And the clue is conversation. And one of the things that makes generative AI so accessible to everybody, because everybody can use it right out of the box. Right out of the box, every single human being above a certain age, obviously 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds may not be able to use generative AI, but above a certain age, and this is an ability that every human being has. Every human being has the ability to converse. We are born with the ability to converse. We learn the ability to converse. We communicate by conversation. And if you think about it, conversation is the most human method of communication. So that's why I thought it was a stroke of brilliance for OpenAI and all these other AI companies to use conversation as the interface. Why? Because conversation is the most human interface. This is why we can sit down at ChatGPT and have a conversation with it and feel at some point like we're actually talking to another human being, when we really are talking to the sum total of all of humanity's output that has been put into the large language model. We are talking to humanity. When we're having a conversation with ChatGPT, when we're having a conversation with Perplexity or any of these other chatbots, we are having a conversation with humanity. We're not just talking to a machine. We're talking to the voices of humanity that have been entered into the large language model. And that's what's so beautiful about this interface, is that it's a very human interface. We as humans communicate in that method by talking, by conversing. And by them using that methodology as the interface, that makes it more human. This is why we can have these conversations and we can do it easily. It doesn't take a lot of training to sit down and just start talking to a bot. So one of the reasons why, and this is something I've read before, is that the reason why we think it's so intelligent is because it's basically blown away the Turing tests. And if you're not familiar with the Turing test, it was a test, it was envisioned by Alan Turing, who was one of the pioneers of computer science. The Turing test was, you would have a computer on one side of the room and there'd be a wall. On the other side of the room would be a human. Now, if you had a human on the other side of the wall and you were talking to the human on the other side of the wall, you could tell that there was another human. You were having a conversation with this human, and you could tell it was another human. Now, if they replace that other human on the other side of the wall that you couldn't see with a machine, with a computer, and you could still have a conversation with that computer, and you still couldn't tell if it was a computer, if you couldn't tell it was a machine, if you couldn't tell that you were speaking with a machine, then that machine passed the Turing test. That's it. It's no more scientific than that. So the Turing test is just a test if we can make a machine sound like a human, act like a human. And that's exactly where these chatbots are. They look and sound and act like a human. They use a conversational idiom. They use a conversational medium to communicate with us. So we make the mistake that we feel that they're human. We make the mistake that we feel that they know things. We make the mistake that they have some intelligence. But they don't. And if you listen to the show for a while, if you watch the show for a while, you know I've talked about this. It's basically a giant autocorrect. So this fear of AI, taking over, this push towards where we think that something like ChatGPT can evolve to AGI, I think we're much farther away than we think. We need 10x, 100x leap in technology, leap in processing, maybe even an integration of quantum, to be able to get to the point where we can actually think about it as AGI. And in the meantime, why not use it as a tool to improve your life? That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.